Welcome back, listeners. You are listening to the Internet Marketing and Business Solutions radio show with Ronald Couming from RCS Technology Solutions. We help business owners and entrepreneurs achieve even greater success using various Internet marketing techniques and methods. The purpose of this show is to provide our listeners with two subject matter experts who will come on and give them actionable tips on how to increase their business opportunities. Everybody comes on this show is free. Nobody gets paid to be on this show, nor do I get paid. This is just our way of giving back. Our second guest today is Matt Crane, and he is a sales and marketing expert with over 10 years of professional experience. He has helped Fortune 500 companies, small businesses, and entrepreneurs grow their sales and income by enhancing their processes, getting more attention, and becoming an authority in their particular field of interest or expertise. Help me welcome Matt. Matt, how you doing today?
I'm great, Ronald. How you doing, my man?
Excellent, excellent. We had some trouble getting you on. We wanted to have you on a little time in the past. We were unable to, so I'm glad you were able to make it today.
Yeah, absolutely. I really appreciate you having me on, Ronald. I love what you do, and I'm excited to share some great nuggets with your audience.
I love it. Now, I know we've talked before. I think you're from Kentucky, right?
Actually, I'm from the great state of Tennessee, so I'm close to Kentucky, but I'm here in the volunteer state.
Well, you know us all from Boston. I don't really know. I know Kentucky, Tennessee, Ohio. I know that's like in the middle of the country somewhere, right?
Yeah. Right. Well, I think we all have that same Southern accent, so it all works out.
Yeah, it's a cool accent. I like it. It stands out. Like when I go, like I was telling the previous guest, I do travel a couple times a month. I speak in conferences on internet marketing and stuff. And when I go, people really get on me because we don't pronounce our R's. So I'll say I got to rent a car or something like that, and people will just laugh at me.
Well, they, for most people, they know that our default answer is either y'all or Ewins.
Ewins?
So I don't say Ewins because we create words in the South. Instead of saying you guys or us all, we'll say Ewins or y'all. So we just create our own language down here sometimes.
Excellent, man. But better weather, too, for the most part. Anyhow, tell us about you, Matt. Tell us a little bit about your history and the quality and benefits and value you provide business owners and entrepreneurs.
Yeah, thanks, Ronald. I come from a humble background. My father's been in sales his entire life, and I think that's where I got my desire to want to be in the sales industry. But was a sports fanatic growing up and had an opportunity to go to college and play sports. And from that, jumped right into the sales world in the more corporate sales and retail sales. And then from there, Ronald, it just became a passion of mine to I'm always learning something. I like to learn from people, and I always like to push the envelope. I think that might be the competitive spirit through sports. And from that, I started to notice that what was missing in the sales and marketing gap was there were a lot of people that were talking a lot, but there wasn't a lot of people that were really actually getting in the trenches and helping people take all this knowledge they were getting in books and seminars and webinars and all these things, and then helping them truly form plans, what I call blueprints to success. And, I really wanted to get involved in that. And, that kind of led me to where I'm at today with Rush Impact Media as a sales and marketing manager, which allows me to, really explore that entrepreneurial spirit, go out and help businesses, entrepreneurs, companies, and so many other people grow their business through a digital strategy that's going to help them not only create the right message, but Ron, what people miss today is that how do you really see what you're putting out in return? How are you able to scale that? How are you able to create leads from that? How are you able to generate business from that? And so what we do at Rush Impact Media is we really take people and help them grow their business by locking in with the right digital marketing strategy, putting them in the right platforms that they need to market their business to, but then also be able to help them look at the analytics. How do you respond to traffic? How do you create that content that's going to hold people into your information? And then on top of that, we help create and draw business. We were in New Hampshire. We do a lot with automotive companies. And we were in New Hampshire a little over 2 weeks ago, Ron. And I've never sold a car in my entire life, okay? So let's start this little story off with that. But we were in New Hampshire, and because our company has such a dialed-in method on how to drive traffic and how to create sales, and we were able to go out and sell as many cars for this company we were working with in New Hampshire in 6 days that they normally do in 30. And I was on the ground level with the team selling vehicles myself, which I think also separates us from most standard companies, is we're just not going to tell you how to do it. We're also going to be willing to get in the trenches and make sure that we're giving you everything we have to be successful real time. And then on top of that, Ron, I also host the Power of Great podcast, which I'm very, very excited about. We were just voted one of the top 26 podcasts to listen to in 2017 by CIO Magazine. That goes out to all the chief information officers across the United Kingdom and the United States, mentioned with the likes of Lewis Howes and John Lee Dumas, Tim Ferriss, Pat Flynn, Jeremy Slate, and some amazing other people. And I believe that your current situation is not your defining moment, and that's what I preach and practice every single day, Ron.
I love it. I mean, you're speaking my language too. I'm also a digital marketer. You do in a different way, in a different industry. I pretty much serve almost any industry. But one thing I want to mention is that you were up in New Hampshire. I'm like 12 minutes away from New Hampshire. They could have been a steak dinner a couple of weeks ago, had I known.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, Ron, that, we'll be back in New Hampshire soon, and we'll definitely make that connection, because what I didn't realize was how close I was to Vermont, and then how close I was to Boston as well. So, I definitely want to make sure we connect next time I'm in that area for sure.
Yep, absolutely. But on Wednesday, I'm going to St. Croix for 2 months, so I'll be working remotely from 85-degree weather. I'm all set with the winter. But I wanted to get back to what you were talking about with the shelf help type stuff. You're right. People go to events. I go to a lot of events myself, and I see a lot of people there, and they haven't made much changes from the last events or something that I've seen, and other. It's what you call shelf help, because they'll come to these events, they'll get the books, they'll get motivated, and they'll go home and they won't do much. So your company helping them take that information and use it, it really is a needed industry.
Yeah, well, I tell people this, is that, I call those people evangelists, right? They're looking for an evangelist. An evangelist is somebody that's going to come in, get you excited, get you pumped up, get you full of the Spirit, and then when they leave, what happens? You have to have the maturity and the wherewithal to continue that excitement. So what we love to do is that, hey, we're going to promote you going to seminars. We need everybody reading books. We need everybody's think tank getting bigger and growing. But then how do you conceptualize that? Especially small business owners, Ron, who have limited budgets when it comes to capital, who have limited audiences. Because, when you go to rural communities, there's still some communities out there, Ron, who don't have Wi-Fi. They're still on dial-up systems, or maybe their utility companies haven't been able to provide them with the Wi-Fi necessary, or maybe they're just in an area where service is limited. So how do you help them conceptualize the right way to market their business? And I definitely don't want to take away from traditional media outlets like television, radio, and print. But with today's digital marketing space, Ron, this being in the industry, we have so much more access to data. So we can actually track to the penny how your advertising dollars are being spent and how they're creating business. And so for me, it's very important. And I say this, Ron, because I was one of those people that would go and get pumped up and come back and get nothing from it. I wasn't, because it's one thing to be in an environment of people who are bigger, who think bigger, and who grow bigger. But when you come back home and maybe you're around people who don't have that same think tank, sometimes that desire kind of gets away from you. So that's why you have to create immediate action. Once you get a nugget of information, you have to immediately create that into your business or into your process or into your life, because now you're going to be able to start doing what? You're going to be able to start tracking the results. And a goal is not worth it if you can't measure it. So let me rephrase that. Don't even remotely set a goal if you're not willing to measure the progress.
Yes, and that's one thing that we say too is what gets measured gets done, and but I really like that because you're right. People will go, but I'll be honest with you. Sometimes I go to these events and I see people getting all pumped up, and I sit there and I talk to them and I build a rapport with them, and I know now they know everything they need to get done, and they also know that they're so overwhelmed, right? So when the evangelist pumps them up, they know what they need. I'm sitting there as a friend, right? And then 6 months later, 3 months later, after we build a rapport, bang, they hire me because
Yes.
they can't do it. So one of the things I tell people is learn it, do it, delegate it. If you have one or two or three things that's your genius zone, that's what you need to focus on. Your marketing or anything that you need to generate external business, you need to delegate that and focus on what is ever your number one, two, or three top money producing activity. So what you're doing is so needed.
Yeah, well, I say this, in today's fast-paced and very saturated marketplace, there's three ways people are going to get paid, and there's three ways that your business is going to generate income, and it's either going to come in the form of money, opportunity, or referability. And I believe that in today's economy, relationships is the new currency. He or she that can build the best and best and best and best, I don't know if I can say that enough, best relationships will also be able to generate the best opportunities, the best referability, which will lead you to the best money that you can make. And here's another thing I'm going to say, Ron. You and I, we might be in similar spaces, but that doesn't mean that we have to close each other off from communicating. That doesn't mean that I may have someone that reached out to me that has a pain point that maybe I don't feel, but maybe Ron feels that pain point. Once again, it's that referability. So I believe that we also have to create relationships as business leaders, because my goal at the end of the day is to help the consumer or the end user solve a bigger problem. If I can't solve their problem at that particular moment, but Ron can, and that consumer knows that I led them to Ron, what do you think they're going to do for me? They're going to refer me to other people.
And they're also going to trust you for whatever you know that you can do because they understand that you'll delegate it out. And I agree with you that I don't look at things years ago, and not, not too many years ago, but if I went to an event or something and there was someone who did something similar, I would look to them as competition. But now I look to people as collaboration. So when I meet somebody, I look to conversate with them and then, to collaborate with them. So you conversate, to collaborate, and then to create impact, influence, and income and all that. You know what I mean? So yeah, it's all about collaboration nowadays. The days of just cutting somebody off because you think they're a competition, that's over.
Yeah, absolutely. And another thing too is that Stephen Covey said, you have to seek to understand, then be understood. And I think for a lot of business leaders, we're too busy wanting to be understood, right? But sometimes we have to seek to understand other people's point of views. Ron, you and I have had numerous conversations, and just in that conversation, I learned a ton from you. And from that conversation, we created a rapport, which led you to eventually, you're going to be coming on my podcast, and here I am on your radio show, and it exposes you to my audience and me to your audience. And that's all from a relationship. So I tell people out there, if you really want to grow your business and you really want to take advantage of what the capabilities that digital marketing and digital strategy can do for your business, you got to learn how to become a master relationship builder.
Yep, I agree 100%. And my friend Cami teaches on that stuff too. Can you give us like 2 or 3 if you have time? We have like another 5 minutes or so, and I want to make sure everybody gets a chance to hear your contact info too. But can you give the listeners 2 or 3 things that they could do right now to maybe start the process of increasing their success in business?
Yeah, number one, you got to create videos. I was just reading an article that our CEO, Jeremy Warner, sent over to us last night on Buffer that 1 minute of a Facebook video is equal to 1.8 million viewers, meaning that if you can create 60 seconds of content, you have the opportunity to create 1.8 million views based on the analytics that Facebook has to offer. And so I tell people, use video right away. Your business is not going to grow if no one knows about you. And at the end of the day, you are your business, period. So use video. Number 2 is you really need to hone in on what you're good at. There's so many things to listen to out there. There's so many platforms to look at. There's so many people telling you to do this, 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 and this. But yet you have to hone in what you're good at. I always tell people, don't go play in someone else's backyard if yours is still a work in progress. So what you're good at, buckle down on that and become the expert, so that way you can walk away knowing that that's covered as you go out and explore all these other things. So know what you're good at and become an expert in that. And then number 3 is don't do it alone. Ron, I can't tell you how much money I left on the table in 2015 by thinking that I could do it all by myself. In 2016, thinking I had it all covered. The minute that I was able to put some people around me that understood how to conceptualize my podcast, the minute I was able to put graphics behind that, understand how to write better content, understand how to generate better content, is when things started to develop. So you can't do it alone. And the one thing, too, Ron, is this, is don't let your pride get in the way of spending money on somebody that's going to help you make more money in return.
Yep.
So you can create the digital strategy all day long, but if you're not seeing the return that you need to see, then understand that you need to find somebody that you're comfortable with, that speaks your language, that's going to help you grow your business and 10x your income. And that one pain point that you might have had to spend a little bit more money than you wanted to is going to be worth it, and you'll never look back.
I agree. That's so right down to the core of everything. You spoke on like 3 different things, but if somebody spends $1,000, whether it's on a coach or some form of marketing, and they get $5,000 back, just for round numbers, did they spend $1,000 or did they make $4,000? So if they can hire somebody who can help them 3 or 4 or 5 times 10x their income on that time, one, that allows them to stay in their genius zone. It allows them to do what they're best at, and that will also increase their revenue. But then whatever they're trying to figure out and do on their own, even if they do that, A, they sucked up so much time doing it that they weren't making money doing the other stuff, and B, whatever they produced was subpar of what they could have delegated to somebody who has that genius zone. And so I agree with you 100% on that.
Well, and one more caveat to that too, Ron, and I think that you'll say the same thing, is that it's one thing for you to spend money on someone like a Ron Couming or a Matt Crane and Rush Impact. It's another thing for you to take all the things we're able to provide for you, and then you work those things yourself. So don't think as a business leader that you can just take your foot off the gas when you spend the money on these digital marketing strategies. Our job as digital marketers and as strategists and as companies is to grow your presence, to drive more leads that you, the business owner, can work, close, and produce from. So just as a caveat, it's make sure that you understand that once you spend that money, the digital marketer is going to help you drive more leads, create more business, but you as a business owner have to continue to be prepared to close those leads.
Yeah, and sometimes that's big, because sometimes when I'm dealing with people, I'm getting them thousands of hits and thousands of leads, and but it's on them. I mean, we can help them convert with different AMDs and stuff like that. But that type of conversion is just to get them to pick up the phone or to send the email. The ultimate closing of the deal is on the business owner or their sales team, because they're the ones who are providing the actual service, and they're the ones who have to convey the benefits and the value. We can convey the benefits and the value to a point where the people will take that call to action and call them or submit an email or something for more information. But at the end of the day, it's really the business owner or his sales team that have to convey the benefits and value, so the person will sign that contract going forward.
Without question, it's kind of like, hey, we can build the event for you, but once the people are in the seats, it's your job as a company to keep them in those seats.
Yep, and and that's so huge, because we don't know what the price point, the person's ability to close sales, all these things are out of our control. But I love it. I like your thought process too. And can you tell us a little bit more? We got like a minute left or two, but about your podcast.
Yeah, so the Power of Great was built, in 6 months, Ryan, with no big email list, no big network, just my man Jeremy Warner and I paced the driveway in March of 2015, wanting to launch this podcast. I didn't have a product, never written a book, didn't have an email opt-in, but the Power of Great podcast has now grown over 150,000 downloads on iTunes, SoundCloud, Stitcher Radio. We're going to be hitting iHeartRadio and Pandora this year as well. Really excited about it. Was voted one of the top 26 podcasts to listen to in 2017. We've had guests like Grant Cardone, Bob Berg, Joel Comm, Ted Rubin, Sean Thomas of Ask a Millionaire. And this year we've got some amazing other guests lined up and some big names that we won't announce right now. But if you stay locked into us on our Facebook page at facebook.com/Power of Greats, you'll be able to see just who we're going to drop in 2017 for the podcast.
And I think you're going to have one rock star on there too, right? That everybody should be listening into.
That's right. We're going to have my man Ronald Couming on there, and you guys ought to be tuning in to this radio show every single Monday without question.
Because then I'm talking, not interviewing.
That's right. That's right.
But excellent, Matt. It's always a pleasure talking to you. I really like your thought process. I like how you walk your clients and your customers step by step through, where they are, where they want to need to be, and then what they need to do to get there. You and I have a lot of processes and stuff that are similar, so I really like your ideology. Can you one more time give us your your contact information?
Yeah, without question. You can reach me, Matt, at rushimpact.com. Or you can call me direct at 704-912-0084. You want to use the extension 1004. That way you can get a hold of me directly. And then you can also check us out online at rushimpact.com. And, I'm right now, Ron, I'm also offering small business owners a complimentary digital marketing strategy concept that we're able to take a look at what they're doing and give them a consultation. So if anyone's interested in taking advantage of that, definitely want to reach out to me, Matt, at rushimpact.com, or hit me direct again, 704-912-0084, extension 1004. Ron, you are the man, sir.
All right, Matt. Thank you very much. And listeners, like I said previously, this show is archived on my website, rcstechnologysolutions.com, if you were not able to write that down. You've been listening to the Internet Marketing and Business Solutions radio show with Ron Couming of RCS Technology Solutions, where we provide our business owners and entrepreneurs with the ability to achieve even greater success using various Internet marketing techniques and methods.